It's funny when I make a thumbnail, you're always, if you're looking at the thumbnail, I'm on the right side and you're on the left. Mm-hmm. And you always have this cut off arm because your arm goes out of the picture.
Yeah, I do like the light that's blowing me out, though. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a wall of light over there.
Yeah.
We have completely inconsistent lighting. I've got like these 2 ring lights over here and then like a whole like photographer's diffuser over on that side.
I know, but it like kind of cuts me in half, so it's like
right, it is 40s, a lot brighter.
30s, 40s, 30s. I got 2
40s, 30s?
Oh, how young I look.
Oh. Speaking of how old we look, if you guys watch this podcast long enough and you watch on YouTube, you're going to just watch me go gray because I decided to go ahead and let it all hang out about 2 appointments ago. So last Friday, I had my second appointment where I did not get any color, just a haircut, which was a big time saver.
Oh my gosh, it was so fast. I was feeling bad. I thought you were going to like get home at like 8 at night. I was just feeling bad.
Oh, I know. My appointments have been like 4-hour appointments because I've been not only dyeing my hair, but I've been doing like sometimes bleaching it so it's not like all just brown. So it's like bleach, maybe some highlighting,
yeah.
And then some shadow roots too. So we have to bleach out the shadow roots that have grown in, dye in the new shadow roots. I guess that's the brown. I'm not like dyeing my whole hair brown every time, but man, I mean, it's just a multi-step process, and there's a lot of sitting under the heat lamp and multiple hair washes, but yeah, I'm done with all that. So yeah, you can see where we are.
I think it's pretty rad.
I'm excited about it actually. Yeah. I tried to go gray during the pandemic, I think it was. I did like let's just do it all at once, which was basically bleaching all of my hair and then doing a toner to make it gray. And it looked good for about like 2 washes. And then the toner...
I remember that. Remember that.
The toner washes out, and then what's left is like this orangey yellow hair that, underneath it's gray, but it has years and years of this brown dye on top of it that has been bleached out, so now it's kind of orange.
Right.
And now what I see in my roots is this beautiful white silver color that's like sparkly, and I always like sparkles, so...
And still pretty salt and pepper. I mean, it's white.
In parts, it's really white in front, but you go back and it's pretty salt and pepper in the back. But anyway, this is supposed to be our Music Life Weekly, and that was not at all about music. But hey,
well, unfortunately, your hair is part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
My hair looked pretty cool in the music video that I'm almost done editing. That we've mentioned a few times. We did 2 shoots for it, and I gotta show it to you.
After this would be a great time.
Yeah. So that I think the editing part is done, meaning like which parts go where for how long, and the synchronization of moves with the music, and zooming and cropping and stuff like that, but no colorization yet, which is like a whole nother layer of work that makes it so much better.
Unbelievable how much it matters, though. The filters and the stuff they put on it. I'm sure that if you saw a lot of blockbuster movie, like big Hollywood movies, if you saw them without all the color correction and filtering, you'd be like, this looks like crap. Like,
you'd be like, this looks like someone's phone.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that.
So what did we do?
Yeah, let's get into it. By the way, allergies really getting me right now. I've been spending a lot of time in the yard, and
this is going to be fun to edit.
Yeah, it's going to be great for you. No, it'll be terrible for you, but it'll be great for me because I'm going to do something else. What did we do? Gosh.
You had a gig, an acoustic gig with Cody yesterday.
Yeah.
I just had my last session of teen band tonight. We had a showcase rehearsal on Saturday all day. It's gotten so busy. We said we were going to stay nice and open after the pandemic. We're like, oh yeah, we love having all this free time. And somehow.
It just hasn't worked out.
I'm very, very busy.
And I feel like I turned down a decent amount of stuff.
So where to start?
Yeah, so the Cody gig, it was just Cody and I in a park in Louisville. I was telling you about their cute little downtown. Mm-hmm. That's where Cody's from. It's kind of the Killarn of the Denver metro.
What does that mean?
Killarn is the neighborhood I grew up in Tallahassee.
Oh, and everybody should know that.
No, we have a big listener base in Tallahassee. That's mainly who listens to this show is Tallahassee people. So they got the reference and they laughed.
Hi, Janice.
Oh, it's so dumb. Anyway, lovely little park downtown. Probably 100 people. You got to give it to Cody.
He's got a fan base.
He really does. And it was, I would say, I was telling you, 50% maybe like real diehard Cody fans, and 50% like I've heard of the guy and it's in the park and it's free. But people...
I couldn't draw 20 people to an acoustic gig in a park.
I would say, and out of that 100, there were maybe 10 or 20 that were just stopped because they heard some music or they were at the park anyway. All that said, I was very nervous. It's
really?
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking playing acoustic guitar with just a singer. Like, you're so exposed and you're so... Like, you really can't make mistakes. Playing with a band, everything's loud. I'd make mistakes all the time. No, it doesn't matter. But when it's just you and a guitar and the vocal, it really does. You're just out there. And his stuff's very dancey and stuff, so I'm doing the thing where I'm, like, beating the guitar and adding the backbeats and stuff. And my hands were already hurting a lot because we did that, like, 7-hour showcase rehearsal the day before, and I was just having to like bang on the guitar, and in fact I pulled off one of the slickest things I've ever pulled off, where this will only matter to guitar players, mainly guitar players in Tallahassee, but I was playing the song with bar chords, and it was just like I was cramping up so bad doing the thing. And I had my capo on the headstock of the guitar, and we got to a little like thing where I could like ring a chord out, and I grabbed a capo and stuck it on and started playing the song with a capo instead.
So that you could...
So that I didn't have to do bar chords, so that I could play open chords. Because I was just cramping up so bad, and like but I was like, right after second chorus, I'm gonna like hang the thing and
That's
let it,
pretty
and
smooth.
I'll like slip the guitar on, because I was just dying. Like I just, yeah, it was really weird. We've talked about it before. The difference between inside and outside. When you're indoors and there's a roof on thing, and it like holds the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Because like I'm looking around and like everybody's having a great time. They're singing along like crazy, and Cody's great at getting people to do stuff, and
he got them dancing too.
He got them dancing, and the whole we were so intellectually you're killing, but you don't feel that you're killing. And then when someone gets up and leaves, it just like it wasn't really bothering me, but I think I could just feel his energy, and it was like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Everything's fine, but it was just kind of like so we did that. Sorry to go on about that. And then a great showcase rehearsal. Everything went flawless.
Yeah.
That band is ridiculous. It really
is. The way people prepare.
Yeah.
So Ryan Elwood on drums, Brian Stacks on keys, Alice Alistair on bass, and you on guitar. The backup singer varies. We're using someone new this time who's actually probably going to become a Performance High employee. I sent her a job offer this morning, so
okay.
That's why I say probably. I kind of introduced her as like, this is because she's coming on board, but like I actually hadn't made the offer yet. I was like, I put the cart before the horse. Hopefully she'll say yes. But we had a great interview. Anyway, the band, it just blows my mind.
It really...
How smoothly this very complicated and demanding process goes now.
It really, there's times when we're going through the first playthrough of a song, and sometimes pretty complicated songs, not always. Some of them are just pop songs, and some of them are things we've played a million times anyway, and, but some of them are like, no one's played this song before, and we're in the first run through, and I'm like halfway through it and going like, this like literally rocks. So we're like rocking this really hard right now. And some of it's Elwood. He's just a great drummer, and he carries a lot of it.
He does. He really tells the band where we are. Like he is great at filling into sections. So like he makes it. He's like a director sitting behind the kit,
I mean, honestly. Until he's not, because like you're so used to him doing that, and then a couple times he'll get lost, and you're like everybody falls apart because we're like
we're so used to
we're waiting for you, man. Like, not that happened one time.
One time in like 8 hours of playing,
and even then it was a surprise. Like that's the thing, we got lost one time in 7 or 8 hours of playing songs we'd never played together before. And it was a surprise. We were like, "Oh crap! What?
I know.
What happened?" Like,
it's just crazy. I feel so lucky. I think back to when this idea of showcases come up.
Oh my god! Yeah, the first couple of years were work.
The idea came up when we were at the Walnut Room, and Adrienne O shared a bill with Echoes in Reverie, which
I remember that show.
Yeah, Brian Stacks and Rachel Irvin, who was not yet working at Performance High at the time,
became a Performance High teacher.
Yeah.
Killer monster.
My favorite vocalist, like, period. Oh. In the world.
I wouldn't go that. Yeah,
I love her voice so much.
No, she's amazing. She's amazing.
Anyway, we just thought, I was sitting there, watching their set and thinking, I've got like this band and Stax on keys. He was in my band too. That was the connection.
Yeah.
Maybe we should, let our singers play in front of one of our bands at this place we're sitting in right here. And I talked to everybody after the show, and they were like, "Sure, let's try it." And it took a while to work out the kinks and make it run smoothly. But oh my gosh, at this point, the fact that we're doing a 4-hour section of the showcase that's singers fronting the band, that's like an entire cover gig night.
Right.
And we rehearsed twice.
Probably more because we take less breaks than cover bands. I mean, we don't not take breaks, but...
That's a good point.
We're
not taking like 2 half-hour breaks.
No, that is like really actually...
We're taking like 2 15 or 20-minute breaks.
Yeah, that's 3.5 hours of music, not 2.5. I was having that conversation with somebody recently where they were like, I was explaining to them what it takes to play a bar gig. And you might play 7 to 10, and they're like, wow, 3 hours of music. And I was like, well, it's not 3 hours of music. It's 2 hours of music because you take your breaks or whatever it is,
Although the ones we did were always 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah.
3:15 or so.
3:15 or so. But we're doing even more than that. And the fact that that's not really a big deal to do is pretty... I mean, it is, but it's like...
It's manageable.
It's manageable.
That's crazy.
It's really reinforced my, like, with original bands, and definitely when I was younger, I was psycho about rehearsal, and like, we're going to rehearse a lot, and we're going to rehearse very hard, and we're going to whatever. And like, now I'm at this place where like, I was telling you, I was talking to somebody, and they were like, oh, well, how does the Petty Nicks band like manage their rehearsals? And I was like, we don't rehearse. Like, what are you talking about? And like, I mean, we do very occasionally, but at the same time, it's just like, it's just, I actually was thinking, I gotta warn myself, don't let this make you lazy, because there is this thing where you're like, what's the big deal? We just learn the song, show up, everybody knows the song, we play the song, like what rehearsal? Like, why would we need to, if everyone shows up knowing what they're supposed to do, what let's just play it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, don't start thinking that way. Like,
it's not normal.
There's more to it than that. It doesn't always happen that way. Although, to be fair, I do a lot of gigs that way now, where it's kind of like I get a song list and I'm filling in for somebody, or not a lot. I don't gig that much, but, whether it's, occasionally I play with Eric or Howl at the Moon, like I don't, we don't practice to do that. Anyway, just reminding myself not to get lazy. So that was showcase.
Was there anything notable with the singers at the showcase?
Yeah, there was. Louisa BC.
Oh, yeah. Louisa BCO, yeah. Oh!
It was... She was
pacing like a caged animal.
Before starting to sing, and I got the goosebumps. Like, it's one of the weird gifts. If I do have a gift, it's that I will get, like, physically affected by musical things. Like, stuff almost hurts my head if it's not right. And if it's it's really working and like, oh, I think of it as the thing, like that's the thing. I get literal goosebumps. And sometimes that's how I know we're in the ballpark on a recording or mixing or whatever. It's like if it gives me the goosebumps, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And before we start this song, and Louisa, super talented, but I've never heard her sing big like that.
No, she never really has.
Yeah.
She's a
songwriter, producer.
Woman.
Yeah.
She's in a band of her own. But she came to me to resume lessons recently after a long break to learn how to belt because she was basically she's kind of afraid of it, like a lot of singers are, like afraid of sounding like they're yelling, so they always flip into something lighter.
Right.
And so she's been working both with Tyler and with me, alternating.
I think Tyler might have unlocked some stuff. Because, anyway, we start the song and the singing doesn't start right away. And she was just, like, pacing like an animal. And I got the goosebumps. I was like, oh.
Like, for it.
The thing is about to happen. And then she started singing. And she was, like, 4 feet from the microphone.
I know.
And it was, like, plenty loud enough. It was
and this is a rock song.
Yeah, it's a rock song. It's really loud. She was so loud. I was like.
It was so good.
Oh, my God.
Can't wait to see that live.
Oh, it's gonna just be... I told her when she was leaving, I was like, that is gonna burn down the house. Like, that is gonna... if you hit it with half of that intensity, and she was just like...
I know!
I'm like making all these, like, throwing her arms around. It was awesome. But everybody was great. Jana was great. Mm-hmm. Kiara hasn't done stuff with us in a while. Kiara Birch.
Yeah.
And she was great. Talk about another small... powerful package.
Gosh, yeah.
I mean, she's got so much power under the hood. You were like, I know.
I'm always so proud of everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are stretching themselves. They have to register 2 months before the show. So they might pick a song that at that point is a stretch for them, planning to learn how to sing that by the time the show comes around.
Well enough to do it live, yeah.
Yeah, and people tend to... Not always, but a lot of them pick some pretty difficult songs.
Which they should, and I'm always proud of people that they're like...
Exactly.
They're doing that Hold My Hand song from the new Top Gun. Like, that thing is like...
It's a big belter.
Vocal.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's a monster.
It rides a break, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am so proud of everyone who's trying it. That, stretching yourself it's how you grow. It's how you get better. If you stay in the safe zone... You just stay in the safe zone. Right.
Yeah, it's a good thing to learn. I mean, that's sort of even going back to what I was saying about, like, don't let this make you lazy and just be like, whatever, we'll all learn the songs and show up and play. It's like, no, your standards should always be going up. Oh, gosh. And then after showcase rehearsal, we went to the Electric Cure, which, if you were in the Denver area, I recommend taking a trip to Edgewater, which is 25th and Sheridan. Mm-hmm. And going to the Electric Cure, it is an amazing, I wouldn't even call it a bar, really. I mean, it's like a cocktail.
Yeah.
But they were like fancy cocktail. I mean, I just had a beer because I didn't feel like. So they also just have beer, but like they had like really fancy.
Yeah, really cool cocktails.
Cocktails, and some that they were like lighting on fire, and the flames were going up to the roof. And it's really small. I mean, if 50 people were in that place, it would feel unbelievably packed.
Yeah. But it's like it's completely decorated. Like the walls are covered with lights, and there's all kinds of odd pictures and stuff. Like there's that. Do you remember the portrait of George Costanza from Seinfeld posing in his boxer shorts on a divan?
Yeah, right. Whatever.
So like there's a print
episode,
of that, like
there's
a framed print of
huge 6-foot print of that, and there's stuff.
There's David Bowie. And
there's Bowie
some gothic stuff and lots of skeletons
and these like portrait things that are scenes from their paintings, but they're scenes from horror movies like American Psycho and
rainbow flags and lots of color and
and then on the outside of the wall on the outside of the kind of painted on the window, what would be the window, it's really like a storefront, like a shop front, but you go in and it's so colorful, and it's just like you went somewhere totally different. But on the storefront window, they have painted what I think were like our literal reviews of like
bad reviews.
Bad reviews of Yelp reviews, like just painted on the front of their place.
Obviously, worship Satan. Never going to come here again.
Yeah, totally. Like all the, like, it was so funny. That's such a cool thing of them to do. I mean, it was just the kind of the ethos of the place. Everything is like, you know, really super tongue-in-cheek. Scary, but tongue-in-cheek. Mm-hmm. Anyway, if you get a chance, I highly recommend the Electric Cure in Edgewater. Mm-hmm. Gosh, we could say a lot about Edgewater because our favorite go-to restaurant is also just down the street, Sloan's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's right by Sloan's Lake.
And Joyride Brewery is one of our favorite places to go.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite places to go. Yeah. Gosh, what's coming up? So the music video's coming up. You were going to say some Performance High stuff.
Yeah. So we're probably starting a second round of the voice teacher development program, the teacher training program, in September because we have quite a bit of interest. So I might just go ahead and start a new round before the first round wraps up. So it feels a little like a stretch because, I mean, this whole thing is built around finding them students, and we're currently maxed out on our space.
Right, we were talking about that this morning, yeah.
We can take more online students, but most people want in-person at this point. Like 90% of our inquiries are for in-person lessons. And we are basically maxed out on space, more or less, in Denver. So I am going to start looking at commercial real estate. I actually just got some search results from my broker today. So I'll give another look and see if we can move and find a new place. Or maybe we'll expand more into sound structure, but there's always a waiting list, and I'm on it.
I know. And at some point, we can't literally have every room in that building.
So anyway, potentially even more people coming on board at Performance High, so that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of a leap of faith, though.
It really
is.
Yeah.
You're building the teacher roster and mm-hmm. you know, assuming that, you know, it'll get filled. That's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's mainly it. Oh, I had my last teen band session tonight.
Yeah, you said they're just going like gangbusters.
They had so much fun.
Yeah.
They're rock stars. So they're going to perform at the Oriental Theater on Sunday with everybody else. So anyway, what's coming up?
Actually, a lot is coming up. Like September is wacky.
Oh my gosh, yes. We've kind of had a break in August in terms of gigs. And that's why I scheduled the showcase at the end of August, actually, because I needed to find a little hole in our schedule so we could have those 2 all-day rehearsals plus the all-day show.
Yeah.
So we're getting through the showcase next week, and then, September, I counted, we have 10 gigs together. I think you have more.
Yeah, I have like 2 or 3 more, so 12 or 13 in September, yeah.
Cody gigs. I have a Jenny Shawn gig.
Right.
And some petty stuff.
Yeah.
Do you have some Howl at the Moon gigs?
And I may wind up doing an Eric gig, or I may not. We'll see.
Plus family reunion in San Diego.
Oh, yeah. Wow, yeah.
That's going to be like a 2-day trip, though.
It's going to be like we like have a gig and then go to San Diego for 2 days and then
come back. And then we're going to see War on Drugs at the Mission Ballroom.
Oh, my gosh. I'm looking forward to that.
That's right. We actually have concert tickets for like 4 or 5 things right now.
Yeah, we do.
Phoenix.
One of my favorites.
Murder by Death.
I think
that's this weekend. I think it's Friday.
It might be really soon.
Saturday, August 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby Bear Tyler.
I'm going to see Florence and the Machine without you.
Right.
Feel like
and then we have War on Drugs.
Yeah.
Which, gosh, definitely listen to the War on Drugs.
I love the War on Drugs.
They're amazing band. On Atlantic, I'm 99% Steve-O signed them.
Oh.
The same person who signed my band to Atlantic.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong, they had records out on indie labels before, but I'm fairly sure
that they're on Atlantic now.
They definitely are on Atlantic now. And I think I read something that, like, you know, typical Steve-O style, a coup that he got them to come onto a major label because they had been in like an indie band for 10 years before that.
Yeah, they don't have that major label feel. or sound, which is cool.
They really don't, although the newest record, in a way, does. And this goes back to a conversation.
I was just going to remind you.
Yeah. The newest record does, in the sense that it's still them, and it's still rough and raw, and their sound didn't change, but the production value definitely jumped up. Like, you can, on the newest stuff, you can hear the dollars a little bit, to me. Where it's just like, oh, they had a little more time to develop some things a little bit more, and they, just a little more time and budget to get things done. Not hugely different. Their sound didn't change at all, but I hear it. But the conversation we were having was about, when talking about the newest War on Drug records, we're talking about recording. And when you're making records now, it pretty much always is in what's called a DAW, which is basically, DAW just means a type of software.
Digital audio workstation.
It's a software that you use to record music. It could be ProTools, it could be Logic, Reaper, Ableton, Cubase, whatever. And you were saying you didn't, because one thing people will say all the time is like, oh, I can completely hear that was done in Logic, or that was done in Pro Tools. And you were saying I didn't believe that. You didn't believe that.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I feel like I often can hear that. I mean, for one thing, if you're listening to records that were made in the 2000s, early 2000s, that was when Pro Tools was pretty much the dominant thing, and to use Pro Tools software, you had to use their hardware, and their hardware meaning the actual box that connected to the computer, and that hardware had a sound. It wasn't the software giving it this, so if you knew what you were listening to, you got, it's a Pro Tools record. But anyway, what we got onto was like how the different softwares make you work with a different workflow. And that is what I feel like I can hear. Mm-hmm. We were talking about Good For You by Olivia Rodriguez. And that song is very, in a super cool way, but it's very like pasted around. Like, it's kind of collagey. Like, all the guitar parts in it aren't, I played all the way through the song. They're like these collagey, here's the bit of a loop that was the chorus thing, and here's the bit of the loop that's that little interlude thing that happens, and then here's the and that Pro Tools makes you want to work in that way. Right.
It's not that Logic can't do that, but it just is, there are certain things that any interface is going to make easier or make harder for you, or to be your default way of working. And I don't know Pro Tools, so I
right,
I don't really know, but
Pro Tools is just way more word processor like, in the sense that it's a lot more copy and paste, and it's a much more physical thing, whereas in Logic you might use MIDI, meaning like virtual instruments and whatever, and Pro Tools isn't great for that. But what it is great is instead of using a fake drum machine part of the software to like have the snare drum hitting on the 2s and 4s, in Pro Tools you would like physically paste those drums out on the 2 and the 4, which is not hard. You copy it and you do it. But anyway, it's but it just sort of makes people think in a different way. And I was saying, there's a song on an EP I'm working on right now where I'm going to jump over into Pro Tools because I feel like it needs to get it there. It would help me to get it in that copy and paste collagey. I'm going to physically move chunks around. And it really is just the user interface. There's no difference other than how they choose to make it look to you, but it makes you work differently.
And I was saying, there's kind of an analogy to language. Like, the interface you're using is affecting the way that you think about what's coming out of your brain, and so it's like a filter between the idea and what gets executed ultimately. Right. And so you create something different because of the tool you're using.
Right.
And when you speak a language, your thoughts are literally affected, and what you say, how you think about things, is affected by the language you use. And if you switch to a different language, it tends to have you choose different ways of saying things that tend to change, the way that you think about things a little bit.
It would have to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be thinking through a problem in Japanese versus English, you would probably think about it a little differently.
Yeah, just because of the words
Just
you use
because
and the meaning
and the construction
and
of the, how you copy and paste
Yeah.
ideas around.
Yeah.
Which is a bizarre thing, and then you get into like, well, are people the way they are because of their language, and that kind of informs the national culture.
Oh, yeah.
Just or even in America, like people in the South are a little different than people in the Midwest, and California people think a little different. New England people think a little different, not wildly different. And that's true country to country. People are basically the same. We're talking about tiny little differences. But, it becomes a chicken and the egg thing. Like, did the thinking differently make the language different? And probably it was both. It's just this enforcing kind of cycle.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know. We're a little off the beaten path here.
Yeah, that's the kind of rabbit holes we go down on our way to rehearsal together.
Basically, you got an inside look at us being in the car together.
Which is why we started this podcast, because we're like, this stuff, somebody might find this interesting, so let's just turn on the mic.
Right, and apparently 10 people do. So,
yeah. Thank
you, all 10 of you.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we should go. Thank you guys again. Look forward to seeing you. We're going to get some guests on here. We got to remember to get some guests.
That.
I know. We're going to do it.
You have to reach out to us. We're not going to reach out to you. We get to Monday night. We're like, oh, shit, we got to do our podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, one of these days.
I keep saying it.
Yeah, and yeah. Just appreciate anybody who's out there hanging out with us.
Yeah. All right. See you around.